Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we are going to make cake pops. Cake pops have a really nice hard outer candy coating, yet inside it's cake and frosting mixed together, and it's wonderfully soft and moist and really nice and sweet. So to make cake pops, of course, we need cake and we need frosting. You could use any type of cake, any flavor of frosting, but today I'm going to use a vanilla flavored cake and a vanilla flavored frosting. Now you can find the recipe for the cake and the frosting on the site, and I do have a video to go along with that. And you can even, because cake pops, there's quite a few steps, you could make the cake the day before, and then that will save you a step on today. So now I've made my cake. And now you need a large bowl, and I'm going to crumble the cake into the bowl and make it into like little fine crumbs. You could do this in the food processor if you want. I just do it by hand. And if you can see that cakes normally have a bit of a crust on the outside. It's a little darker color. If you want your cake pops to be really white inside, then just cut that off. Now, if you use both of these layers of cake and all the frosting, you will get about 55 golf ball size cake pops. If that's too many, then just half the recipe. In fact, today I am just going to work with one layer. So I just use my hands, just rub it between my fingers to get it into just really small crumbs. And don't worry when you're baking the cake if it's not perfect, because we're going to be crumbling it, so it really doesn't matter. So just into small crumbs. Okay, that looks pretty good. As you can see, I'm just kind of running it through my fingers. It's a good job for the kids to help you with. Okay, so now, of course, make sure you wash your hands, nice clean hands when you're doing this. And I'll just wipe those off. Okay, so now this is one cake layer I did. So it's hard to know exactly how much frosting you need to add, so we're going to do it gradually. I would say somewhere for this amount is somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of a cup, so 80 to 120 milliliters. But like I said, I don't add it all at once, because you don't want it, if it's too soggy, as well as if it's too dry, your cake pops will fall apart, especially when you try to dip them. So we want to try to get it just the right amount. So I tend to add a little. And now you could, there's a couple ways you could work it in with a spoon or a spatula. To tell you the truth, I always use my hands. A little messy, but that way I can really feel. Or you could just, like I say, just work it in this way. So that's not going to be enough. We're going to leave a little more. And this is just a simple butter frosting. I've combined butter and confectioner sugar. You may know that as powdered or icing. A little vanilla extract, and just a little milk or cream to thin it out. Again, the recipe is with the vanilla cake. So now I'm just going to, again, work it with my hands. You want it to hold it together, like when you squeeze it, you want the, as you can see, this is kind of still crumbling, so I will have to add, but just work it in. So I'm going to need a little more. Making cake balls is really a technique, and once you get that down, then you could use chocolate cake or red velvet cake. You could even use quick breads for this. Or if you just had some leftover cake and you just thought, oh, I'll make a few cake balls. Okay, I think we're almost there. As you can see, it's really starting to come together. Maybe just a little more. You don't want to add too much. Besides it being soggy, the mixture will get awfully sweet. I mean, these are sweet as it is, but you don't want to make them too much. Okay, I think that's looking good. So what I'm going to do is just take a bit and see. So I'm getting a nice ball. So I think we're about ready. So now, to make your cake balls, I like about golf ball size, which I'd say maybe 1.5 inches in diameter, about 4 centimeters. You could use, like, you want to try to make them all the same size because when you put them in a display like this, you want them to all look the same. So you could use a little scoop, or my favorite way is to use a scale. And I use about an ounce of batter of the mixture, which is about 25 grams. So just take a bit and then try to roll it in a nice smooth round ball like so. I mean, you can always fix it up later once they've chilled, but we try to get them about the same size. So just roll them between your hands. If your hands get a little dirty, you can always have like a wet cloth to try to wipe it off as you go. So, and then just have a baking sheet with a piece of either parchment paper, or you could just use wax paper. So I'm going to get probably between 25 to 28 with this one cake layer. Okay, so there we go. I think it's about 26, so you're going to get somewhere around there. So now, what we're going to do is cover our baking sheet with a piece of plastic wrap, and then we're going to refrigerate our cake balls until they're cold. That will take maybe 1 to 2 hours. Some people like to put them in the freezer for maybe 15 minutes or so. Be very careful if you're going to put them in the freezer, because you don't want your cake balls frozen when you dip them in the melted candy coating, because then what will happen is, as the after the cake balls defrost, it tends to crack the outer coating because the cake expands. So I prefer to put them in the refrigerator 1 to 2 hours. Now, if you didn't want to do dip them in the candy coating today, what you can do is you can store your cake balls just at this stage in the refrigerator 3-4 days. So you can kind of break up the steps. Or if another way is you could actually freeze these, and then later, like a month or 2 later, you could take them out of the freezer, put them in the refrigerator, defrost overnight, and then dip them. So you have quite a few options there. So let's put them in the refrigerator. So once your cake balls are cold, now we're going to dip them in our candy coating. So at this point, we want to have everything ready to dip. So the first thing you need is these candy melts. They go by a lot of different names: candy melts, candy wafers, confectionery coating, candy chocolate, or even a summer coating. And what these are is they're made of like milk solids, sugar, vegetable oil, and flavoring. And they come in, as you can see, a wide range of flavors. I find it kind of tastes like sweet white chocolate. You can also buy these in like dark milk chocolate and even peanut butter or chocolate mint. So you need that. And for about 26 cake balls that we made, you need about 1 pound of the candy coating, which is 450 grams. And then what you also need, because when you melt the candy coating, it's still quite thick. We want to thin it out so it coats our cake balls really nicely. So you can add either, we'll need probably 1 to 2 tablespoons. You could use a flavorless oil like canola, corn, vegetable. You could use a shortening, or you could also use what's called these Paramount crystals, and that's palm kernel oil with other things. So you could use that. And then what you will need is you need your cake pop sticks, also known as lollipop or sucker sticks. I find this is about 4.5 inches long, 11 centimeters. I find that's a perfect length, especially if you're going to stick it into the styrofoam. So have those. And then once we dip, if you want to put sprinkles or some kind of candy, you could also use finely chopped nuts, you could use coconut, you could use crushed candy. There's all kinds of things. I mean, your imagination, you can just let it run wild here. And then you will need, if you want to do it like I have here, where you stick them in the styrofoam, it makes it easy for them to dry, and it makes a nice centerpiece. So you need, styrofoam can be bought in all different sizes. And if you want, like if you're doing a centerpiece and you didn't want the styrofoam actually to show like that, what you could do is get a container and then get your styrofoam and then just cut it to the size of your container, and then, you know, it looks, then you could always put some stuff on top to cover up the styrofoam. Now, all these things can be bought at cake decorating stores. You can buy them at a lot of craft stores like Michael's, Joann's, or you can even buy them online. So, like I said, we will need for one cake layer about 26 of these golf size, ball size cake balls. You will need about a pound. Now, if you didn't want to use all one color, I'm using all the blue here. A lot of times I would just melt like a half a pound, 225 grams of one color, because you can see here I've used mainly the pink and the blue, so I used a half a pound of each. Now I'm going to melt this in a heat-proof bowl over a saucepan of simmering water. You could also do this in the microwave. If you want to do it in the microwave, of course use a microwavable bowl and do it at medium heat. You don't want it at high heat, medium heat. So for a pound, I would first do it like 1 minute, stir it, take it out, stir it really well, and then do it in 20-second bursts and keep stirring because you don't want to overheat this. So I'm going to just put it over here, and either a wooden spoon or a heat-proof spatula. I'm going to let this melt a bit, and then I'm going to add I'm going to add shortening today. Okay, so at this point I'm going to add, I think, about a tablespoon of the shortening. Now, if you were using these crystals, I would only use about 1 to 2 teaspoons. You don't need as much as if you're using either the shortening or the vegetable oil. So I'm just going to start with that, and then once the candy has melted, then we'll see how fluid it is, and then if we need to add a little more, we can at that point. Okay, that looks good. See, it's running nicely off of my spatula. Let's take it off the heat here. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. Nice smooth. Now, while we're dipping, if you find it starts to harden, which you can do, you can just either pop it back over your saucepan or back in the microwave. So now, ready to dip here. First, what we got to do is take your stick and now, your cake balls, if they weren't perfectly round and smooth and you weren't happy with them, at this point you kind of fix it up and make it nice and round and smooth. So just take your lollipop stick, just dip it maybe just a little into there, and then we're just going to stick about halfway into our cake ball. And that acts as kind of like a glue, and then you can just kind of fix it up there. So I'll do a few here to show you. Kind of a production line thing. You don't want to push it all the way through and then, your cake ball will crack. But you want it far enough that it doesn't come out when we dip. Now, I find it's best to put my candy coating into a deep, not very wide, but deep, so I want to put the whole cake ball into the coating. And you want to dip. You don't want to roll because you don't want to get any cake crumb, just in case any cake crumbs come off. So you take your, let's see if you can see that. Good. So you take and then just dip it in all the way, right up to the end. And then what we're going to do is just kind of turn it, because you want the excess to drip off. And turn it as you're doing so it drips off evenly. It's just a bit of a technique here to, the more you do it, the better you get it. See? Just kind of twirl it. Some people like to gently tap it, whatever works best. Some people tap it with their hand. Some people tap it on the end of the bowl. So there we have our cake ball. Now, if we could just put that one just like that, if you wanted it plain, or if you wanted to decorate it later. So I'm just going to do another one. You could also, what I'm going to show you here is with the sprinkles. Just takes a little practice. And if they're not perfect, then if you cover them with sprinkles or nuts or coconut, it'll cover that up. So don't worry about it. So there we have it. So then what I could do is I have some sprinkles. I could take, I'm using some green ones. Just do it over a bowl, a little messy. And then I could mix my sprinkles. So, kind of cute. Oh. So you want to have it over because some of that did drip off. Don't whoop, there I go again. That's where we have that styrofoam there, we can clean that up. So just continue to dip and decorate. I'll do a few more of these and then I'll show you how to pipe a little decoration on the top. So now, once you've dipped your cake balls, now if you have, like I have here, that's common to run down, you could just take a Kleenex, damp Kleenex, and kind of clean that up. So now, if you wanted to attach like some kind of candy, what you can do is just take a toothpick or skewer here and just dip it in your candy coating and then just put a little on the back of your candy. And then just place it on your, however you want. And that candy coating will act as a glue and hold it in place. Now, if you want to do some fancy stuff, like these swirls, squiggles or dots, what you need is a piping bag or even a plastic bag. And I've just got a very small plain tip, or you could just cut off the end of your piping bag. You don't really need the tip. And then just pour, some of your icing. You don't need that much for this part of your work. And like you might want to use another color. As you can see with the ones I made, I had the pink and then I did the blue. Or if you do blue, you could do white, But since I just have the, so now just, and then if you want to, you can, I have actually, once I did the piping, I put some sprinkles over the top of that. I mean, really, this is where you can get really creative. So just, you want your cake ball to be dry. And then I'm just going to practice a little here. Get my, and then just however much you want, squiggles, dots, it's like so. And then if you want, you can put some more sprinkles over the top, different colors, same color. If you're really into cake decorating, this is where you can have a lot of fun. And you can see the array of different all different sprinkles, and Let your imagination run wild. So once these are done, again, you can keep these probably 3-4 days at room temperature, or some people like to store them in the fridge because they prefer them cold, and just have fun. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.